Hi guys, welcome to another YouTube video, and in this video I'll be talking about data types or structures that you've probably never heard of in Python. So I'll be starting from the ones that might seem a bit more common to the ones you've probably never heard of. So I'll try to make this as fast as possible, so just go through it with me. Right, so the first data type we will be looking at is the complex data type. And complex data type is mostly used when you are dealing with mathematical computations. One of the major complex and vectors, one of the major complex data types is I, where j. So I is the root of -1. So when you are dealing with mathematical computations, you could use the complex data type. And how does it work? All you just simply need to do is, create your complex in this format. For instance, I'm using j. I'm performing a mathematical operation with it +2, then print the data type. So if I just do that and run this right down here, you see it gives us 2 + 1j, and it tells us that the data type is complex. So the next data type we'll be looking at is list. This is a bit more common, and list is basically used for a mutable ordered sequence, multiple items in a variable. So if you want to create a variable that has lots of items and it's mutable, when you talk about mutable, it means that you can change the values there, and it's an ordered sequence. That means you can identify specific parts of the items in your variable. You could use a list. So here I have a list I've created here. I specified it here. So this list contains list of some people, and you can loop through this list. For I in this, you'll print out the elements there. And when I say it's mutable, I can change a particular element. So I'm changing the element at index 2. So in Python, we start counting from 0. So this is 0, 1, 2. So I'm changing this particular item index 2 from what is there to this, and I'm printing it out. I'm finally printing what data type is this data type I just created here. So if I run this now, okay, let me save that and run this. So if I run this, you see it prints out all the information you have, the first, the second, the third, and the last. So I changed the item here. You see this change, and I have the new data at that position. So when we print the list, we have the elements there, and we print the data type. It tells us that it is a list. So that is the list data type. So the next data type we're looking at is the tuple. A tuple is quite similar to a list, just that in tuple you cannot change elements in a tuple. You cannot change elements in a tuple, and we're going to be looking at that quickly. So now I have a tuple here of list of people, and let me just run the first one. So if I print this, I have all my elements. It tells me it's a tuple. So to differentiate between a list and a tuple, you cannot change. So if I try to, just like I did in the list up there, if I try to change a particular element here and I run it, it tells us here that a tuple does not support item assignment. So you cannot change a specific data. So if you want a unique data that a new table, you can't change it once created, you use a tuple. So let's move on to the next data type, and that would be a range. So you've probably used range before, but you don't know that it is actually a data type. So a range is simply a sequence of numbers starting from 0 and ends before the number you specified, and it increments by 1. So if I say range 6, I'm starting from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. So I stop at 5. So that's why if you do for I in range, as you've always done, it works. So you can also create a range of numbers as a data type. So I've done that here. So I'm printing for I in this specific range I've created, print I, then print the range of the data type of my. So if I print range 6 starts from 0. It tells us, if I print it here, it tells us the range from 0 to 6. So it starts from 0 and ends as the number just before 6. So if I add 7 here, this will count till 6 and stop just before 7. So the class here is the range. So that is the range, data type. So depending on what you're working on, you could use that. Next thing we'll be looking at is a set. So a set is quite similar. I won't say similar, but it's quite similar to a list, just that it's in a set. The elements in a set are unique, and you can also iterate them. They are unique. And also, one thing to know about a set is that a set is unordered. So I would say it's actually different from a list because it's unordered. So when we say is a data type is unordered, it means that, just like I said, an item in position 2, you can't do that in a set because there's no specific order to which we are referring to the elements here. So there's no specific order, so you can't say set I, you'll get an error. So also a set is mutable. When I say a set is mutable, it means that you can traverse around the set. You can change elements in the set, not traverse, you can change elements in the set. So now let me just run this. I have a set here. So this is how you create a set. I have 4 items here, and I said they are unique. That means you cannot have 2 repeating items. So you have salam twice. So if let me comment this out. So if I just look through my set and I run this, I get it prints. You see what we have here? I have salam twice, but here I have it just once. So anytime you need to create a data type that has just one unique element, you use a set. And also I said it is mutable, so you can change specific items. So if I try to compare this to remove Toyib and replace with Ibrahim, and I have in the first set this year I have Toyib, now I have Ibrahim. So it means you can change the data that is in a set. And I also said, just to illustrate what I mean by unordered, if I try to print something like my set 2, I will have an error because the computer does not know, yes, it is not subscriptable. You cannot, there is no order, so you can't say this is at position 1, this is at position 2. So that's what we mean by a set data type is unordered. So that's what we mean by unordered data type for set. So next up, we'll be moving to a frozen set. So a frozen set is similar to a set, just that you cannot change elements. It's just like the tuple version of a list. You cannot change elements in a frozen set. So once you've created it, that's how it's going to be forever. So now let's just run this and see what we have here. So we have this particular data set. So let's say we try to remove a particular element, DSA, from this frozen set. So these are the creation of frozen set. Try to make a particular element, and it tells us it does not have that ability, it does not have that attribute. So meaning that you cannot remove a specific item. So now we'll be moving on to the next data type, which is a Boolean. So a Boolean, you must have worked with a Boolean before, you must have heard of it. It's simply true or false. True or false. And you can create a Boolean from a value, so from a numeric value. So if you are creating any value other than 0, your output will be true. So if I change this to 0, it becomes, from true it becomes false. It becomes false. But if I put any value, even negative values, I still get a true value. So that's that for Boolean, true or false, items. All right, and finally, and not finally, well, we are gradually approaching the end of this video. The next data that I'll be talking about is a byte. A byte just convert in computation. A byte is a string of 8 numbers. So a byte converts any given input to a immutable byte representation of a given data. So it gives you the byte format of a given data. So if I have here, if you wanted to do with a number, let's say 9, let's convert this for us. So yeah, it gives us the byte format of that specific number. So that's a byte. So depending on what you're working on, you need the byte representation just for it to save time. It works for that. So, and we also have a byte array, similar to a byte But here the only difference between this and what we worked before is that this is mutable. You can adjust the value, but a byte cannot be adjusted. Yeah, so if we run this, it gives us the byte representation and tells us that it's a byte array. So that's that for byte array. And finally, we'll be dealing with the memory view. So the memory view helps us to see the internal data of an object. It helps us to see the internal data of an object, and it also supports the buffer protocol, and it also helps in in yielding large performance. If you want your application to run faster, without copying data, you can use a memory view. So to run that, if I run that now, so it tells us that the memory is at this particular location. It gives us access to the internal data of a specified object. So that will be all for that. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, leave a comment. If you've heard of these data types before, which one? I'd love to know how many you've heard of, how many you've not heard of. So leave a comment, leave a like, and kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be putting out more content relating to tech, programming, cybersecurity, and also anticipate and kindly subscribe, leave a like, tell me what you enjoyed about the video. Anything that is not clear, you can leave a comment, and see you in the next video. Bye.